Hello everyone, my name's Erados12 and today we are going to do a channel update. Now, this update is going to be pretty serious, so heed what I'm saying, not with a grain of salt. So, I remember when I was working on Roblox and Warfare, my Roblox game. It was an FPS with a few twists to it. However, there are some issues. Over the past few months, I've been having serious issues with equipment. Specifically the right graphics card, the right processor, laptop problems twice in a row. The first one was, as I indicated on Twitter, where I was working, right? And then out of the blue, I heard this weird, awful noise coming from the machine. Not from the monitor, the machine. It was a laptop, but I had to use the monitor because the screen went out. So, as I was doing that, stuff started to get worse. And when it did get worse, it was too late. There was a whining noise coming from the hard drive. I shut the computer down, restarted it, to witness something really bad. A corrupted start menu, as well as various other components of Windows 10. I tried to repair it afterwards by seeing if I could replace the fan and stuff. That didn't work. And then I tried putting in another hard drive from a machine that accidentally broke. That didn't work. So I said, you know what? Screw it. And that's what I did. So I went back to Linux temporarily until another machine was found and I started working, picking up from where I left off. Fixed a lot of things during that time. And then things got a little, let's just say, worse than what they were. So what I mean by worse is this. When things got worse, I'm talking about fan problems. First, the fan started buzzing on and off from that now and then. So I was like, wait a minute, this doesn't feel right. And then in November, it became permanent. The fan was buzzing like crazy. So now I'm like, what do you do? Well, we can get a laptop cooling fan, which is what I have here. You probably can't see it because I don't have any like webcams or anything for this machine. And then I said, you know what, screw it, let's just use the machine. And then as I was using it, I realized the fan malfunctioned. Then I tried to repair it. Didn't work. TLDR, you won't see me on Roblox for a long time because of those problems. Yes, I'm quitting temporarily. However, what you're seeing on screen is an indication. Now, it may not be what you think it is if you're thinking, wait a minute, you moved to Linux, which I actually did. It's actually Tridentu's future logo. Now, keep in mind, as you can see on the screen, it is a picture of a ship with a bridge. I'm not the best artist out there when it comes to making this kind of thing, but I can do it. Basically, this logo is for Tridentu. You guessed it, Tridentu Linux. It's not the penguin, because if it was the penguin, it would be a generic Linux distro. This, however, is a very special Linux distro. One, it starts from LFS. What does that mean, you might ask? LFS is basically where you build your operating system from scratch using GNU utilities as well as others. But this is where it gets really special for the terminal version of this OS. There are many utilities out there that can be built in Rust and run directly on a Linux machine like as if they were in executable link format. Now what does that mean? Well, it's basically how executables are built on Linux. And what this means is that you'll be able to try out LSD out of the box. That means LSD is going to be provided out of the box in place of LS. We could do that because the syntax is the same. However, we cannot do anything with find or grep because those require special set of arguments. Now, moving on with that portion, another special thing about this OS is that it will also be available not just as a terminal version for those who want to try something similar to Arch, but they'll also be available in desktop editions, specifically XFCE and KDE, but the primary one being KDE. Now I am going to make this off of my external hard drive, which is the previous location of a UE4 game I was working on called Outdated Promises. However, I've decided that game's going to be on hold and we had to erase the whole drive in order to use it on Linux, because everything could not be edited or even put in. So now, with that being said, we should be able to have this OS finished by fall. Well, not finished by fall, but rather available as a terminal version by fall for those who want to try it out. And by winter, there should be a KDE version. So expect the full package by 2022. Now, there's other things I will talk about besides Trident2 Linux. I'll also talk about many other things such as programming languages and things like that. Now, if you want to catch this in audio only on my Anchor or podcast, which I will be rebooting probably around the summer, then you can probably listen to it on Spotify once it comes out and many other various platforms. It used to be called Intro to Coding, but it's not going to be that anymore. Decided to retire that name and choose Technology and Engineering from Arrow. Yeah, that's what the podcast name will be. Anyways, let's keep going. You'll also notice that this is a ship. And why would a ship be in there? It's not just for the operating system's logo. It's also for the app it corresponds to. The killer app is known as Project Trident. It's basically a text-based strategy game where you are playing Battleship and Axis and Allies at once.